your boss and your boss's boss's boss, you already know this, don't think and act and talk exactly like you, but they can respect you and respect and know that you have a process. And guess what? Processes are promotable.
Welcome to Women Changing Leadership. I am your host, Stacy Mayer, and I teach you how to get promoted, get paid, and bring your whole self to the leadership table. I am on a mission to change organizations from the C-suite out because women are the new face of leadership, and we are doing it on our terms.
Hello, corporate badasses. Welcome to another episode of Women Changing Leadership. I am your host, Stacy Mayer, and super excited, as always, to be here with you again this week. This week, I announced and celebrated the first graduates of my Leadership Table Project Executive Coaching Certification. These 3 women were certified in the first process, which is facilitation training of my executive promotion process. And I am so absolutely thrilled to celebrate each and every one of them. And I also wanted to share with you, as I get into today's episode, a little bit more about their journey. So the 3 women that I'm talking about, their names are Jennifer, Shari, and Thelma. And each one of these women came to me at various different times in their career because they wanted to advance to that next level of leadership. They knew that they were ready for more and they wanted to make a bigger impact, but they also couldn't quite figure out what was missing. This is the typical process that I work with all of my clients on. And they were all, I must say, corporate badasses when I met them. They were all incredibly great at their work, at their jobs, even great at navigating their careers. But they knew if they wanted to get into those higher executive levels of leadership that they were going to have to do something different. So over the past 4 or 5 years, I have been working with these women to get them into higher levels of leadership and to also make that bigger level of impact. But the most important thing, even more so than their titles, is the women that each one of them became. You've heard me use this term before, but they became authentically powerful. They're able to show up inside the executive suite fully present, fully as themselves. They're able to speak their minds when necessary. They understand how to navigate corporate politics. Of course, they have ups and downs and good days and bad days, but they also know how to pull themselves back out of the mud, how to refocus on what's important to them. And each one of them have become true thought leaders in their industry. Now, they were always kind of a little bit of a thought leader, but over the past couple of years, I have really seen them blossom both on LinkedIn, but also on international stages, giving talks, on podcast episodes. Jennifer even has her own podcast with, I think, over a couple hundred episodes at this point. So it's really about being able to get themselves not only into that position of power, actual power at their organizations, but to be able to get themselves in that position of power so that they feel powerful and in control and strong, and they have choices and they're able to take advantage of those choices. And now through my executive coaching certification, they're able to lift up other women's voices. So what I was able to do over about a 4-month period is I walked them through not only how to teach my executive promotion process, but how to facilitate a conversation in the way that I've always taken for granted. This is just something that I have learned and cultivated over the past 10 years in my business, but I've never actually taught anyone else how to actually facilitate. What is it that I do on the other side of the camera, on the other side of the conversations to get people motivated, to focus them, to encourage them, to show them their blind spots, to point out what they're missing, to begin to carve a career path for themselves that's going to exceed even their own expectations. And so now I've been able to teach that to these women so that we can work together globally to bring this executive promotion process to more and more and more women. And I'm super, super excited. The next phase of the process is to get them into one-on-one coaching certification, which we're going to be working on over the next several months. But for now, I'm just really excited to present to you these women that have this ability now to not only, they didn't just walk the talk of my executive promotion process, they are living, breathing role models of my executive promotion process, but now they're able to give back and then get 10 more women promoted as a result. So I am so thrilled and so excited to celebrate them. Shari, Jennifer, Thelma, you are amazing. You inspire me every single day in the work that I do. And I am so excited to be a part of this journey with you as well. Now, that also leads me into today's conversation. So the only reason that I was able to do a coaching certification with them is because I have an executive promotion process, right? My book, Promotions Made Easy, a step-by-step guide to the executive suite, lays out my entire executive promotion process. My courses lay out my executive promotion process. Anytime I am facilitating a training myself, I am teaching my executive promotion process. This is a process. I'm not just giving advice to people like, hey, here, say this, do this. I mean, I do a lot of that. And I tell people and I offer advice, hey, I think you should do this. But it's all under this umbrella of getting you into that higher level leadership position and making you be successful once you get there. And this 5-step process is the process that I've honed and cultivated over the years and then been able to teach to so many other women that have had great success, not only in getting promotions, but in getting a second promotion and a second promotion, and then being able to now give back to so many women in the community and lift other women up with a really simple, easy to follow. Well, sort of, right? You have to challenge yourself. It's not a magic pill. You have to be able to show up and do the work. But if you show up and do the work works. And now I have 3 other voices spreading and helping my mission. And I'm so, so, so thrilled that we are all on this journey together. I read a LinkedIn post by one of my mentors and coaches that I've had throughout the years, Eleanor Beaton, and she is an amazing woman. She wrote the foreword to my book, and I am absolutely inspired by her, and I have learned and gleaned so much business knowledge from her over the years. And in this LinkedIn post, which ended up going I don't know, I would say somewhat viral. I don't know how many views it got, but it certainly got hundreds of likes and comments and so on. And what she was talking about was in the age of AI, businesses are either going to succeed or fail. And the coaching, specifically in the service-based industries, that coaching that is not just based solely on advice and storytelling, but instead is based on systems and processes is going to have a greater chance of success. And she outlined several reasons why. But I was thinking a little bit about this and I was like, wow, this is so true because I get a lot of reels popping up in my feeds. And because I am an executive coach, I get a lot of other coaches who connects with me. Instagram thinks that I like to watch other coaches and get coaching advice, like how to interview and what to say to your asshole boss or whatever, I don't actually like watching those things and I try to unfollow most of them. But what I notice is that even in the things that I'm interested in, if somebody's just giving me advice, I might think they're a little clever and I'm like, oh yeah, that's cute. Oh yeah, that makes sense. But if they have a process that I can follow, like a formula that I can follow, now I'm intrigued. Now I want to know more. Now I'm willing to pay them money to coach me, right? So she's basically talking about a business model. And she said that in the age of AI, that people who are just giving advice, it can fall flat because we can ask AI anything. We can ask AI for advice, like how to say this, how to do this, how to update my resume, how to do that, right? And then what she's saying is this idea of a process is something that AI can spit this back out to you. But what you're going to need on the other side of that process is the ability to implement that process itself. So, right? So you can see where somebody like me has a stronger business model because I actually have something that I have proven and that I have iterated on and that I have perfected over the years and been able to share that. And I can use things like AI to be able to get that process that I created, the book that I wrote on this process, the courses that I put together on this process out to more and more women so that they can literally just follow it. And now I have trained facilitators that can facilitate the conversation around this executive promotion process. So you see, not only is it impactful as a business model, but it's going to impact so many other women's lives. And I have this happen all the time, is I have, the reason I started the coaching certification, I probably should have started with this, is because women were demanding it, right? Like they were actually doing it. People were buying books for their colleagues, or, my greatest compliment was a COO who bought my book for one of her VPs that kept asking to be promoted. And she was like, "You're not doing the right things. Here, follow this process." And she gave it to her, right? And so when you can follow my executive promotion process, you not only get yourself promoted, but you also get yourself into a position where you're able to have real influence and power at the top. All right. So you hopefully, even just through listening to me and the difference between getting advice from somebody or having a business model where you're giving advice is very different than having a process that you're teaching people so that they can rinse and repeat over and over again. And so in terms of sustainability and things like that, it makes a lot of sense. Now I want to translate this model, this idea, to your career. I'm always talking about understanding your leadership brand. What are some other quotes that I say? Part of my process is showing your work, always be interviewing. These are different steps that are like granular inside the executive promotion process. But the reason why these things are so important is because they set you up as having a leadership process. So a lot of times when I tell women to get themselves out of the weeds, right? What are the weeds? Weeds are your checklist, your task list, the work that you are doing. That becomes very similar to just giving advice. So you go into a one-on-one with your boss. Your boss says, "How are you doing? How's your employees doing? How's your project going?" And then you're just like, "Well, it's going well. This isn't working. That's not working. I'm trying to fix that. Do you have any advice? Can you help me delegate some of these responsibilities? Nobody's getting back to me." This is all in the weeds types conversations. And even if something's going really well and you want to share that with your boss, or maybe your boss asks you to follow up with an employee and hold them accountable, those types of situations can kind of fall flat if you just say, "Check, I did it. I did the thing you asked me to do. I was a good employee." Now I want you to think about some of the people in your C-suite. And even better, I'd love for you to think of senior executive leaders that you admire. So whether they're at your organization or you've seen them online and you think, "Wow, they're so confident. That is somebody that I really, really admire." 99% of the time, they have a leadership process, a leadership philosophy that they share over and over again with people. I do stakeholder interviews for my clients inside of my leadership table mastermind. And in this program, I'm interviewing their bosses, boss, C-suite executives, sometimes CEOs. And I ask them what got them there, where they are today. And they know, they have the answer. I did this, I did step 1, step 2, step 3, or I always believe that a true sign of a great leader is XYZ, right? They have a process. They've articulated that process. You can think of it quite simply, like if you're new to this and you're not even sure where to start, as your leadership style, as your leadership brand. I call it your leadership brand now. And when I wrote my book, I called it your leadership style. And I realized some of the leadership styles, I came up with 12 styles that are they're pretty basic, right? I'm a compassionate leader. I'm a results-driven leader. And then now I've realized that branding is much more nuanced and specific, and that there is this beautiful thing that you can do with 2 or 3 words when put together, like sort of think of it like your hashtag, when put together in this way that you can actually compel people through something that is even more like thought-provoking and says something even stronger about your leadership. I'll give you an example. One of the women that I work with, she is hashtag human side of change, the human side of change. So this is just a small number of words, but when you hear that, you know what kind of leader she is. She is a leader that works with change, okay? But she also is a people first leader. She understands humanity. She makes sure that she brings people along. Even if you had never met her, you could guess that about her. That's her quote unquote process. That's her leadership process. And so the first step in having this leadership process is being able to articulate it to yourself. And then you figure out how to get really savvy and you start sharing your leadership process with other leaders, other executives, and people on your team all across your organization. And the great thing about this, so, the process for my business made my business scalable, be able to reach more and more women and help more and more women because I have a process, because I'm not just giving advice that allows me to expand and grow. The same thing happens with your leadership. Because if people know what you stand for, what matters to you, what your values are, what your process as a leader is, how you hold your team accountable, guess what? They can continue, one, to deliver it on an individual basis and hold themselves accountable to your expectations, but they can also reciprocate and hold other people accountable because they know what really, really matters to you. It becomes less like you did this right, you did this wrong, you did this right, you did this wrong, and more of like, we're on the same page. We get each other. Now, the great thing is about having a process is that not everybody has to actually agree with your process. So I want to remind you that if you're listening to this podcast, chances are that you don't look, think, act, and talk like the rest of the room. And so I don't want you to have a cookie cutter process that is just like everybody else. Your process, and that's why I get a little more nuanced when I do leadership branding work with my clients, because I know that they're unique. They're unique individuals. They have this authenticity to them, this powerful authenticity that they're able to bring into their leadership. And we want to put that into words that are unique to them. Now, when I say other people follow that, that's a good thing, right? You want your employees on your team to do what you say, right? To deliver under your expectations. But then they're also going to have their own leadership brand or their own process of how they deliver. Now, your boss and your boss's boss's boss, you already know this, don't think and act and talk exactly like you, but they can respect you and respect and know that you have a process. And guess what? Processes are promotable. If you have a way that you lead and you're able to articulate that to other people, they are going to trust you even more so as you continue to grow and climb higher and higher in your career. And now you're able to give back to the community, just like the women inside of my executive coaching certification. You're able to reciprocate. You're able to give back. You're able to coach other women in your organizations. You're able to mentor. You're able to guide. You're able to share your thought leadership, what matters to you as a leader. You're also able to switch industries, because if you have a strong leadership style, then it's transferable. It's the most transferable skill. So many of you are focusing on your subject matter expertise, and I want to encourage you to be a subject matter expert of executive leadership so that you know what is my leadership process, whether I am currently in sales or I'm currently in operations. I have the same leadership process that comes along with me, that carries over no matter what type of industry I might be in at that time. Isn't this exciting? And I think a lot of people get really hung up on this idea of like, what is my leadership brand? What is my leadership style? I don't even know. I'm just trying to get through the day to day. And it is so, so freeing for my clients when we can begin to articulate it, because the truth is we're all in the weeds. We're all frustrated 90% of the time. I mean, as human beings, we have negative bias thinking anyway. We're already going to think about what's going wrong. And instantaneously, when you think about your process that you've created as a leader over the last 10, 20, 30 years of your career, you have a way of leading that is unique to you that nobody else can do. And they can never, ever, ever take that away from you. This is true freedom as an executive leader. And when you can not only get promoted because of your skills and what you bring to the table, but also because of your unique, badass leadership style, that's when you begin to have real influence and impact at your organization. If you're listening to today's episode and you're like, I want to get certified, I want to work with Stacy, I want to figure out what the heck my process is, let's do something like that together. I am here to help you. I have so many different ways that we can work together. I have so many different resources, but the first step that you're going to do is you're going to get on the phone with me and we're going to map out a plan for you. What is it going to take to get you to whatever next level of leadership you might be at today? Maybe you're already sitting in the C-suite and you're looking to dive more into this idea of thought leadership and you want to give back to the bigger community. All you have to do is go to stacymayer.com/discovery and sign up for a call with me, and we will get started on your unique leadership journey yesterday. All right. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope to see you on a call soon, and take care. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to Women Changing Leadership with Stacy Mayer. If you enjoyed this episode, you are absolutely going to love and benefit from the work that we're doing inside of the Women's Leadership Accelerator. This month-to-month membership program is unlike anything else in the market. We are single-handedly flipping the unemployment rates on their head. It is the only place on the internet where you can actually get yourself not only a job offer, but one that has a higher salary, a higher title, and more recognition and influence than you ever could have imagined in your career. Inside the Women's Leadership Accelerator, we are getting women promoted. We are getting them multiple higher level job offers. And I want that to happen for you. Join us in this one-of-a-kind program. You're going to get coaching directly from me, my executive mentors who are also hiring managers who are doing the work, who have worked with me personally for the past 3 to 5 years. We are here inside of this accelerator program to work with you personally to begin to elevate your leadership to that next level. This is exactly what you have been looking for, and I am here to deliver it to you. Best thing, it's month to month. So you can come in, join us, get access to all of my training materials, my weekly live interactive calls, and you can begin to bring your friends into this community. It is the most corporate badass community on the market. I can't wait to see you in there. Go to authenticallypowerfulwomen.com. We are changing the face of the leadership table one promotion at a time. I can't wait to see you there.